This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to the wilderness of beautiful, magnificent South Africa. There is a herd of kudu with some impala. They're being fed upon by some oxpeckers, and this is Wild Earth. Sanibona, abusheni, molweni, dumelang. Hello, it's great to be with you here from the wilds of the Western Kruger National Park. My name is James Hendry. David is on camera. Hello. And we'd love to hear from you during the course of our show today. A special welcome to our SABC audience, and you can get hold of us on Twitter using the hashtag WildEarth. Any questions you have, any comments, we'd love to hear from you during the course of our show. As I said, we've got a little herd of kudu over there, a big cow, female, and her calf. And although it looks like they are grazing, they are not, in fact, they are browsing. Now what that means is that they are looking for food other than grass. So they're looking for other herbaceous material, things like small herbs, small flowers, forbs as we call them, and these chaps seem to have found a ground-growing creeper with some nutrition in it. And then also on them are those beautiful birds, the oxpeckers. Gorgeous oxpeckers on there with their red bills. They're called red-billed oxpeckers, and they help the kudu with ticks. Let's now head over to Lauren. She's just south of me, and I think she's going to look for some hyenas.
Good afternoon, South African viewers. Oh, Ribbon popped her head up for you all. It's great to have you on board, and everyone else that may be watching too. Glad to have you along for the ride. We are sitting here with the new matriarch of the Djuma clan, Miss Ribbon. I'm going to tell you all about her. But first, my name is Lauren. I do have BK on camera, and there's very, very exciting news with the Djuma clan of hyenas. Ribbon may be snoozing right now. It's the perfect weather conditions. A fairly pleasant 21 degrees, but a nip in the air when that wind blows. So I think Ribbon's enjoying it. So she may be snoozing, but exciting news, everyone. There are not one or two, but three little cubs inside this den. BK can just show you. That's a termite mound, or an old termite mound. And inside there's three cubs. Two belong to Ribbon, and they're over 3 months old now. So they're a whole bundle of joy and trouble at the same time, but there's a new cub in there that the world has yet to see. No one has seen this cub. We believe it's about 4 weeks old, and it belongs to a different female called Corky. So I'm going to sit tight this afternoon, and I really, really hope we're able to catch even the briefest glimpse of this little cub for you. It's so exciting that the Djuma clan of hyenas is getting bigger and bigger. They're expanding. Currently, there's only 5 adult females, and this beautiful female that's snoozing in front of us is the leader. She's a matriarch. She's right at the top. So whatever she says goes. Isn't she beautiful? If any of you have watched us before on SABC, you may remember that Ribbon was the lowest ranking of all the hyenas. This is the same hyena. She managed to overthrow Corky and climb all the way to the top. It's absolutely fascinating stuff. So excited to be able to share it all with you. So we're going to dig deep into the hyenas today. But as I watch a Ribbon snooze waiting on a cub, we're going to send you guys across to Damon at Pinda to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to and Beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve here in the north of KwaZulu-Natal. My name is Damon, and behind the camera we've got Marcel this afternoon. And we've come out this afternoon in search of, we've got a very exciting afternoon planned. We spent the morning out here. For those of you that watched, and we had a lot of chaos going on with the resident lion pride, lionesses chasing each other all over the place, and also a mother cheetah and her 2 cubs. So that is going to be our mission for the afternoon, is to try and find those lions and then the cheetah as well. But in the meantime, we've found a small group of zebra. Just slowly moving through the afternoon light, grazing as they go. And up front, have a look at the zebra that's leading the way. Look at how thick its neck is. It's one of the ways that we can identify this as a male zebra, because the males will often bite each other and kind of wrestle with their necks and bite each other on their necks. The males tend to have thicker necks than the mares. And this is his little family, his little harem. So it's himself. And then if we just look back to the left, you might be able to see the 2 mares in his harem, and the far one looks like it's got a little foal. Look at how cute and fluffy that little thing is. Absolutely adorable. And so these open plains here that we're currently exploring, or these kind of grassland clearings with all the lush green grass that grows here, an ideal habitat for animals like these zebra, and also fantastic places for predators like cheetah to rest, cheetah being animals that like to rest in open clearings. So we're going to be searching through these clearings to see if we can catch up with that mother cheetah and her youngsters a little bit later. So we're going to carry on, and we're going to go see if we can find any more sign of either of those 2 big cats. And we'll be looking carefully at all of the different, I mentioned that there'll be lots of different grazing animals in these clearings. We're going to be paying very careful attention to their body language, because if they do spot either a lion or a cheetah, they're going to stare at it, and their body language is going to be really kind of stiff and tense. Their ears are going to be pricked forward, and they might even alarm call. So we're going to carry on and see if we can find any signs of lion or cheetah.
Interestingly, this bird here is a grazer as well, just like those zebras you were looking at, just like well, not like the kudu, but it is a vegetation eater like the kudu, and that is the Egyptian goose. And they like to eat grass, pretty much. That's what their favorite thing in the world is. And then another grazer is a hippopotamus. And there is a hippopotamus. He's a pretty shy hippopotamus, and I think he's shy not so much because he finds the sight of me deeply disturbing, but much more because he doesn't like the wind. And I think it's actually warmer for him in the water than it is for him to be out of the water at the moment. There's a fairly strong breeze blowing from the southeast, and I think he probably gets quite cold when his skin is exposed to the fast-moving air. Whereas his thick coat of blubber keeps him nice and warm in the water, and I would say that the water temperature here now is probably around about 18 degrees Celsius, maybe even as high as 20. And so much of a muchness between the temperature of the air and the water, and so better for him to be in the water. Also, of course, well, hippo just live in the water, don't they? But often on a winter's day when it's sunny, you'll find them basking in the sun on the banks, but not when the wind's like this. So he's just disappeared underwater. Normally, they'll be under for about 30 seconds to 2 minutes. That's my experience. I'm told they can stay under for as long as 8 minutes, but I've never seen that before. Let's go back to our goose, who is being particularly confiding this afternoon. He's just strolling along. So we'll sit here and see if our hippo comes back up, and hopefully he'll give us a display. Right, everybody, we're in an advertisement break at the moment, and there are our little grebes wanting to make a television appearance with the South African Broadcasting Corporation. And hopefully they shall do that, if and when we come out of our ad break. I hope you're all very well, enjoying our broadcast today. There is word on the blower that Thandi the leopardess has come into the reserve from the south, and I'll just quickly tell you before I have to go quiet, as we go back to TV, they did see her cub yesterday, so the cub is absolutely fine. So that's great news. Hopefully we'll see her a little bit later as well. Now, one of the very special stories that has unfolded here in this waterhole over the course of the last 3 months has been the birth of some little grebes. Now, you're looking at one of them there. I don't know if that's one of the parents. No, that's one of the youngsters. So we watched that little grebe from the time that it was an egg to the time that it is now, I think, about 3 months old, which is very special indeed. And there were 4 eggs to start with, and unfortunately only one of them remains. Dov, there are no Egyptian goslings here at the moment. They tend to breed fairly early on in the summer, and so about 3 months ago I think we last saw this pair of Egyptian geese with some goslings, the pair that lives at this waterhole. So we haven't got any of them around here at the moment. So just the little grebes and the pair of geese on their own. I'm going to move on from here and see if we can't pick up some elephants that we had this morning.
Well, Ribbon is well and truly comfortable, and I don't think she'll be waking up anytime soon. But do not be fooled. Anything can stir her. A noise, a smell. Even if she opens her eyes and sees something. She's very habituated. She's very used to cars. That's a good thing. Angie, good question you're asking. Does it look like Ribbon has eaten recently? If we take a look at that tummy, I would say it's slightly swollen. I think she has, but not her usual style. Ribbon has a bit of a reputation for eating a lot until the point where she cannot move. Yes, that belly will bulge. So I think she has eaten. She had a little bit of blood on her this morning that wasn't her own. So she has, which is good. She needs to keep producing rich and healthy milk for her 2 little cubbies that I can really only hope are going to come bounding out of this den soon. Hyena milk is actually said to be one of the richest in the entire animal kingdom. So it's really important that Ribbon does eat a lot, even if it means she cannot move for a few days, which regularly happens, trust me. Most of the predators out here live a sort of feast and famine lifestyle. They can eat, gorge themselves, and then for days have nothing. Good afternoon, sunshine. But this morning, this den was a hubbub of activity. So I'm hoping now that it's getting a little bit cooler, the wind's picked up, I'm hoping other hyenas will come and visit the den. And hyenas are not everybody's favourite animal, but I have to say they are mine, and they really are incredible once you dive into their biology, ecology and behaviour. And I'm just desperate to meet this little one. We know it's there, and it's been seen by other people, but not by us. So we're waiting patiently. And as with nature, sometimes you've just got to wait it out. Put your patience pants on, and it will happen. So of course, in saying that, I am going to go nowhere, and hopefully that little head is going to pop out soon.
Welcome back to And Beyond Punda, everyone. And like I said, we were going to go see if we could find any sign of either lion or cheetah, and we've managed to find 2 lionesses resting in the cool grass just behind this thicket here. Have a look at that one on the right. Look at that tummy of hers and how it's heaving up and down. Having a really good deep sleep. Of course, lions being the biggest predators out here, they can afford to sleep pretty deeply. Something like the zebra that we saw earlier, or the cheetah that we're going to go look for later, because of their vulnerability to predators like these lions, they can't quite afford to go into the same deep sleep as these big cats can. And now, I said a little bit earlier that there were some very unusual things going on with this pride of lions in this area this morning. And what had happened is that within this pride, there are 2 lionesses with very small cubs, and then another 2 adult lionesses, and with those 2 other adult lionesses are 4 sub-adult lions, teenagers if you will. And this morning, the 2 groups which had been apart for quite a while, the mothers with the small cubs and the mothers with the sub-adults, they came together and there was a big fight. And lions were running all over the place and we were hearing roaring. Oh, look at this yawn coming. Oh, very sleepy lioness. Look at her grooming herself, using that tongue of hers to clean her paw. So we'd thought that perhaps there'd been quite a severe fight, and indeed we did find a lioness that seemed to have been quite badly injured, but they all seem to be, at least these 2 seem to be okay. Shenzi, you are asking about lion pride sizes. Shenzi, it very much depends on the region in Africa. It depends on the availability of food. So in places like the Kruger and in places like northern Botswana, and of course East Africa, where there's abundant prey and very big prey, lion prides can get up to 20 lions, maybe even more. Here on Punda, the average size is about 3 lionesses. So this pride has got a little bit more than that. It's got 4 lionesses. In places like the Kalahari, prides may be a little bit smaller, because obviously there, because of the harshness of the environment, there are times of year there where the herds of prey animals migrate out of the area and the lions are left to feed on nothing but bustards, which are kind of bird, guinea fowls, small antelope like steenbok, and even small predators like caracals and bat-eared foxes. And then those prides will often fragment and they become little units of 2 lions or 1 lion. But good to see that these lionesses are still together, and that this fight obviously hasn't fragmented this pride. So very relieving for us to see. And I think we're going to spend a bit of time with them here. They might, with the afternoon cooling off, they might get up and start to move around. Let's wait and see.
I said that we were looking for some elephants, and so we are. This is not fresh elephant dung, but this also isn't elephant dung. And what I thought I'd quickly show you here is the difference between white rhino dung and elephant dung, because they can look superficially quite similar. Now, without wanting to make a great deal of mess on the car, there I've broken open the elephant dung, and I'm going to put it back where it was, and I'll show you why shortly. And here I've broken open the rhino dung. If we look at the elephant first, what you can see is that there are bits and pieces of stick. So this elephant eats a lot of trees and bark and pods, and if you look right where I'm pointing there, can you see that, David?
Yes.
There's a piece of a leaf. Now you will not find that in the rhino, so if I move the elephant out the way and I put the rhino over there, all you'll find is grass here. So the white rhino is purely a grass eater, and you can see from its dung that it's slightly more finely chewed and only grass. It's also, if we go back out onto the ground, I'll just quickly take it back there, you'll find that the rhino's is black. It's blackish in colour on the ground. There it is, that's where I found it. And you can see that the elephant's is a bit redder. Now what I wanted to tell you is that when you pick this stuff up, if you do pick it up to investigate it, it's ideally best to put it back where you found it. And the reason you do that is because those little balls of dung are ecosystems in themselves. And so you'll find termites and flies and ants and beetles and various other things living inside the dung and eating it. Not so much at this time of the year, because we are in the middle of winter, but at other times of the year, when it's a bit wetter and hotter, you'll find all sorts of things living in that dung, and so you need to be quite sensitive to it. You should never drive over it, and you should always try and avoid picking it up and destroying it. We're going to carry on looking for our elephants.
What a day this has been today, and an exciting safari so far. Ribbon is excited, I promise. I promise you, she may not have moved, but she is excited to be here with you all. And of course it's live, so please do talk to us, send in your comments and questions. I am very excited to, well, answer any bizarre hyena questions that you may have. They really are bizarre animals. They have extremely weird biology, shall I say, and lots of things that people maybe don't know about them. Hyenas live in a matriarchal society dominated by females. Seth, you're asking how many hours a day does a hyena sleep? I have no idea. They are nocturnal though, and what that means is they are very, very active at night time. They walk great distances at night time. They hunt or scavenge at nighttime, communicate, interact. So during the day, just like lions and leopards, you will find that they sleep most of the day, like Ribbon here. They're resting. They need to recuperate, get their energy back, of course, for the nighttime. You will start to see hyenas becoming active once that sun goes down. You will start to hear them whooping. Whoop! It's one of the best sounds that you hear here in the bush. So I can only hope when you come back to us, Miss Ribbon will be slightly more awake.
We're still with our two sleepy lionesses, and unfortunately the one that was grooming herself has now lain down flat as well. And you may remember when you left us, she was busy grooming herself. And just like a domestic cat would, she was licking her paw and then wiping her face with her paw. And she was doing it so incessantly, we moved the vehicle a little bit and had a closer look with our binoculars at her face and at her paw. and we noticed some blood on that very like kind of clean white fur around her paws. We noticed some blood there. We also noticed some blood on her face around her whisker line, as well as quite a fresh cut on her nose between her eyes. And so I think that those are probably marks from that skirmish from a little bit earlier. It may have been that the two groups met and they were unsure of each other and there was a bit of a skirmish. But I think the far more likely cause was that between these lionesses they managed to kill something, probably something small. See how dense the bush is all around us here? Lots of different kinds of antelope, like inyalas that like to live in thick bush, would have been moving around through there earlier this morning. And so if one of these lionesses did catch something small, there would have been a massive fight over that carcass. Every lion competing to get its share of the carcass, even though they are all members of the same family. No love would have been lost. And so I think this lioness just nursing those superficial wounds to her face and to her paw. But I don't think anything serious, like I said, just superficial. And now she, just like her pride mate, has lain down. Okay, I think we're going to leave our lions sleeping as they are, and we're going to see if we can go and find that mother cheetah and her youngster.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to And Beyond Ngara. We have got a pride of lions that we found. They are currently sleeping. My name is BARNEY, and I've got Owen behind me as our cameraman for the day. We have been trying to track this pride the last 2 days. The amount of distance they've covered, it's so insane that this morning we tracked and we eventually found them. And by this afternoon, when we try to get back into the area, because it's so windy and the wind is so good for them, with everything shaking and them feeling cool, that they have just recently lied down. Looking at how their bellies are looking, it doesn't look like they've had any success in the last 2 days. So saying that, it looks like they're taking a little bit of a break here. Looking at the distance that they covered, even from this morning to now, they desperately wanting to hunt. George, in a normal day, lions sleep between anything between 16 and 18 to 20 hours a day. However, some prides are different. Some prides get active more during the day, where most of the prides get active at night. This particular pride, the Birmingham pride, in the last 2 days, I don't think they've slept more than 10 hours a day. The distance they've covered in the last 2 days, from where we last saw the tracks yesterday morning to where they were found this morning, on a straight line, they would have walked easily up to about 15 to 20 kilometers. And we know for sure that that's not the case with them, because they walk and they try to hunt and they check areas where they think that they might have a better chance of finding anything to hunt. And so far, they look like they haven't had any success. And looking at that, you can see how all of them are bundled up. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, about the cold breeze that's here, it's a really strong wind. So this pride all together with the Ross males, if they were here, they should be at least 17 lions. But because of the distance they've covered, they managed to lose those 2 big males in the process in the last 2-3 days when we couldn't find them. And also the lioness with 2 young cubs that are about 3 months old, she's also not here. So looking at their general direction for today, they are heading slightly to the southwest. Looks like they're going to hit some big open areas where we often find some zebras and wildebeest. And that will be a good enough meal for them if they can catch one overnight. And of course, because with the wind as it is, it will make it slightly easier, or it's going to give them a little bit of an advantage. Of course, all the other herbivores as well, they're worried about this wind because they can't hear or see. Roslyn lions, if they find them when they're really empty-bellied, one individual can ingest up to about a quarter of their own body weight in one sitting. And of course, if they've eaten something before, it might be slightly less than a quarter. And in this case, this Birmingham Pride, as we talk about them, the lionesses out of this pride, they're really, really big lionesses. They can be easily up to about 120 kilograms. So one of them in one sitting, and if all of them are here, there will be 5 adult lionesses, which at this moment in time, there is only 4. Imagine one of those taking 30 kilograms each. If it's a fully grown wildebeest, they can already have taken more than almost half of what the animal weighs, and in which case, because it's so many of them, they will be able to finish the wildebeest in such a short space of time and have to move on out of the area to go try and hunt again. But if that happens when the roast males are not here, if the roast males are here, that meal can go a little bit far. So these guys at the moment, they are taking it easy. We are going to sit with them and see. They have been moving for most of the day. The chances are that they're going to get up again. We're going to sit with them and see what unfolds.
Talking about lions, most carnivores actually waste up to 40% of their kill. But hyenas here, like Miss Ribrobs, eat almost everything. They'll only really leave the rumen content, which is the stomach contents of herbivores, of ruminants, and horn bosses and hooves. They can crunch through them. Their jaws are that powerful, but generally speaking, not tasty, so they'll leave it. But hyenas will really utilize every single part of their prey, and no other carnivore is said to do this so efficiently. Not even lions, or leopards, or wild dogs, or even cheetah. Hyenas are the champions for that. Lily, you're asking, ooh, the wind is just picked up there. Do predators ever play dead? I think that was your question. The wind just almost blew my hat off. No, I've never seen predators play dead. It's a common technique for smaller animals. Mongoose do it. They have been known to do it. Some antelopes can freeze, so it's not really playing dead as such, but it's more a sort of freeze technique, and the predator will not see me. But generally, hyenas, leopards, lions, wild dogs, which are the top predators we get here in Djuma Game Reserve, they don't tend to play dead. It may actually look like Ribbon's doing that right now, Lily, but she's just sleeping. So I'm going to sit tight, still waiting for our little cubbies.
Well, the rain is slowly starting to fall here in South Africa in the Great Kruger National Park, or the Great Limpopo Transfrontier Park, which is where we are, magnificent park. And what we're looking at there is a creeper called Laganaria spherica, which I think is a rather magnificent name, first of all. And second of all, it's a fruit that hangs in these trees and is much favoured, the leaves, by elephants. But the fruits themselves are seldom eaten. That said, I have seen elephants eating them, but they are toxic to human beings, I'm told. Now, I've never tried to eat one. They look like a sort of gem squash inside. Unfortunately, there are none very close by, so I can't climb up and get one. And if I did try and climb up that tree, I would be, well, I'd have lots of holes in me afterwards. Now we're going to head further down towards the south and see if we can pick up some leopard tracks.
So looking at the whole of this pride, majority of them still have their heads up. There is one or two with heads slightly up. So for those that have not seen these lines before, there is two individuals here that are looking slightly different color to all the other lines. You can see there is this young male there that looks completely white, and there's a young female that's slightly off-site that you don't see. So we're very, very lucky to actually have two white lines in the pride like this. This, as far as I can tell, this is the first time ever recorded that two individuals that are white in one pride since back in as far as one can remember. So the white lines are very famous, and the first time they were ever recorded it as they were very famous for this particular area. In the whole of the world, as we speak, there is 3 white lines in the world, in the whole world, which we're lucky that 2 of those white lines are with this Birmingham pride that is mostly right in the central parts of Ngala. So if anybody has got some questions, you're more than welcome to keep them coming, and we can discuss this pride into further details. Says the 2 dominant males that are dominating this Birmingham pride, plus the other pride called the breakaway Birmingham from the west, is the Ross males. Those are the 2 males that are resident, and their territory is mostly within our area. So our area is about 14,000 hectares. That's not fenced, which we neighbor into other reserve. There are some other males that come in every now and again, so some territories overlap and go back out. So there is other 2 males that come from the east every now and again, not so common, that we also get, that we're challenging the Ross males for their territory a while ago. But other than those, there is other lines that come from our southeast in a property called Manyeleti next to us as well. But you never know in this property in one go how many do you have, because animals can come in and out as they please. So, yeah, we'll carry on with the story of the white lines in a short while, but right now, because they're all gone flat again, let's just stick around with them and see what they're gonna do. And
good afternoon from another stunningly beautiful day at Swala Kalahari. Jandre and myself, Dylan, we're going to be showing you around got some fun things for you this afternoon. It's been proving a little bit challenging going out with this wind and that, but it's always good having you along for our normal viewers, and a big welcome as well to any of the new SABC viewers out there. It's just great that you can join us live with these safaris. So we've got a sable bull. It's actually quite a young bull that we're looking at here. The older the bulls get, the more curved those horns are, and sometimes in the very, very, very big specimens, they arch right over towards the back like that. This has got to be, of all the antelope, one of my absolute favorites, and I've got a lot of favorites. Those of you who've been with us for a while will know I've got a lot of favorite animals, but sable bulls are just got to be in the top 3, I reckon. So it's interesting to watch his behavior. You'll see he's actually busy feeding. At the moment he's feeding low down on the ground, so he's grazing, but they are what we call mixed feeders, so he won't just graze, he'll actually be eating a lot of leaves and twigs especially your younger shoots off these bushes. So the super palatable, very nutritious, particularly in the growing season. So that is one species that he will be feeding on a lot. I'm just hoping he actually pops out, or is he standing still there? I'm actually going to go back a fraction, and hopefully I'll get a better view of him a little bit later.
Good afternoon. I know I'm only joining a little bit later, but we are watching a troop of monkeys sitting up in the tops of the tamboti trees with a herd of impala down below, because we are at Leopard Dam, looking for any big cats really, but they have been successfully avoiding us this afternoon. But my name is TAYLA MCCURDY, and on camera with me today is Gert, and we are here at Pridelands, which is part of Baluli Game Reserve, which is part of the Greater Kruger National Park. And it's very windy today. And I know that it's windy because I can tell by the monkey's tail as it sits up on the top of that branch. We'll just wait till we get to it. There it is. So it's sitting up there and looking around, making sure that the rest of the troop can come down to the water's edge and drink safely. Now, it's very important on a day like today that you do use your eyes, because using your ears and your sense of smell is going to be rendered useless with the way that the wind is blowing around. And I think most of South Africa is experiencing a very similar situation to the weather, except our days are a little bit warmer. I think that the coast is quite cold and Gauteng must be freezing. But there, the impala down below, they've been very, very nervous, very jittery. But thankfully, maybe they do realize that they have got watchdogs up in the trees, which are the vervet monkeys. So if there is a leopard or a lion lurking about, hopefully they'll see them first and let everybody know. But now they're just feeding in sort of the dappled light in the shade there. You can hear the wind rustling the grass. Maybe you can't even hear that. It could be that loud. Now, Holly, we get 5 different primate species in South Africa, and this is one of them. This is the vervet monkey, and it's quite common. It's the naughty one. It's the one that a lot of people post about on social media, that breaks into your houses and sort of causes all sorts of trouble. But maybe you'll know them if you were to see a male and he were to turn around, because they've got a bright blue scrotum, which is quite iconic for the vervet monkey species. But I can just see the two. But I'm sure there are, I know there's a couple of little heads just moving around in the branches there. There we go, climbing all the way down. I'd be a bit nervous to climb that high on such an open branch and windy weather like this. But for a monkey with a long tail that helps it balance very well, I don't think that it's a problem at all. And here you can see another one just sitting, feeding on some leaves. But they eat pretty much anything. They are omnivores. So they don't just eat vegetation, but they will also eat insects. They will raid birds' nests and eat all the eggs. They'll pretty much take whatever they can, and they are fond of taking crockery and cutlery from your home. Where they take it to, I have absolutely no idea. There's one going down towards the water's edge. Maybe we will get a view of them drinking. It's a nice opportunity to see vervet monkeys drinking. Oh, and now the clouds are coming over and it's becoming very, very gloomy out here. Right, I think we'll go around to the other side of the dam and see what we can find. Maybe we'll get another view of the vervet monkeys.
the weather here has really taken a turn. I put 2 jackets on. Yes, not 1, 2. It's very, very windy, and there's heavy rain clouds up there. Really, really, well, not heavy, but the skies are not looking great, I must say. So let's hope the water droplets don't fall. It might wake Ribbon up though, if it starts to rain. She might open her eyes. That's a possibility. All of a sudden, the weather has changed here, at least in Juma Game Reserve. The wind has picked up and a few water droplets have fallen on us. But that's how it rolls out here. We are live, and that's why we need you to send in all your wonderful comments and questions using the hashtag WildEarth. And I was just thinking, maybe if rain does fall, it won't be great for us or the camera, but it will wake up Ribbon. We might actually get to see her beautiful eyes. But this is normal life for hyenas. Be active all night, and sleep all day. Depending on the situation. If a leopard made a kill nearby, Ribbon would definitely be awake, and she would be at that kill. Michael, yes, the richness of the hyena milk is said to be very rich in not only protein, but amino acids and several vitamins and minerals and calcium. And the high calcium content comes from the fact that they do crush bones. Hyenas are very famous, they're also known as bone crushers, because they have this sort of powerful jaw to be able to snap bones and then crunch them. And then they have extremely low stomach acid. It's very, very low on the pH scale because it's very acidic, so it's able to just completely melt down the bone and they can absorb the calcium. And that's exactly why the hyena milk is said to be one of the richest in the animal kingdom. They eat a lot of meat, a lot of protein, a lot of organs. Now, when you eat another animal, the organs like the livers and the kidney and the heart, they contain all the sort of vital vitamins and minerals that predators need. When they start to eat the muscles, that's mainly protein. It's only really protein that they will get from the muscles. So most predators want the soft inner organs because their bodies require these vitamins and minerals. So hyena milk is absolutely related to their diet. They are known to eat absolutely anything, no matter how putrid it is. Not very pleasant, I know. So I'm still sitting here patiently. I am convinced this cub is going to pop out any minute now.
Look at how comfortable this lioness is looking with the feet up in the air. If you look on the inside of that foot, that's where you see a lot of white, which is actually on the inside that doesn't disturb with their camouflage. So back to our story earlier about the white lions, that there's only 3 of them in the world, in the whole world, and 2 of them is at Ngala. So one of the reasons why there is not so many of them, every now and again, different prides give birth to these lions, but they are quite disadvantaged, in particular when they're still young, because at the young age, when adults leave them to go hunting, color white doesn't blend in with the environment at all. As you can see, if you look at these lions now, every single one of the others blend in so well with the grass all over around, except the inside of their legs and belly, and look at how the white one sticks out. So the challenges are still yet to come on this particular young male and female when they grow and start participating in hunts. As it is now, in any cub, at the beginning of trying to join a hunt, they do more bad than good. I think for these white cubs, the challenge is even going to be bigger because they rely on their camouflage when they blend in with the environment to try and get into position. And that is going to be a little bit difficult for these 2 whiteys. It is quite interesting. It will be interesting to wait it out and see as they grow how that impacts on the pride's feeding level as far as catching their prey is concerned.
Here we have got a hammerkop, or hammerhead. And you can see why this bird is called a hammerhead. It's because its head looks like a hammer. And what it's doing, if you watch carefully, is that it's kicking the mud with its feet. And what it's hoping that's going to do is make some insects come out of the mud, float to the surface. So it's going to disturb or unearth some insects, and then it'll eat them. That's what it's trying to do there, which is quite fun. And it was walking around some very pretty water lilies, which have survived the winter thus far. No, Krishna, it's not the wet season here at all. There, it found something nice to eat. It's the dry season. We're in the northeastern part of South Africa here, and in fact, all of the locations in which you're seeing this show are summer rainfall areas. And so we're in the dry season here in the Kalahari and up at Ngala and down at Pinda. It's all the dry season, and Pridelands. And so this water is just being held here because it's a very clay-rich area, and so the soil is very clay-rich. It holds the water for the duration of the dry season, hopefully, and it'll be a very important source of water as we go towards the hotter parts of the dry season in September and October. We're going to continue now and look for some leopard tracks.
We have been successful in our mission, everyone. Look at this. We've managed to find this mother cheetah and her 2 cubs resting out here in this open clearing, taking in the last rays of the day. Look at that magnificent, those beautiful golden rays of sunshine behind her, and her 2 adorable little cubs in front of her. Oh, and look at how alert Mom is. Did you see how she just suddenly lifted her head up and pricked her ears? She's super alert, and look at how all 3 of them are busy staring off to the right. And if we pan the camera to the right and follow where they're looking, we will see that they are looking at a big herd of impala that have come into this open clearing to graze. And using my binoculars and looking at them, everyone, have a look how they've all got their heads down, they're all busy grazing. There's a couple of them looking off to the left, 1 or 2 looking off to the right, none of them looking in the direction of this female cheetah. Now, we did see her when we got here. She was sitting up and her tummy did not look empty, so she has probably eaten in the last 36 hours or so. But just every now and then, that little bit of excitement that she seems to get in her body language. She kind of pricks her ears and looks off in the direction of those impala. She's not as disinterested in them as I was expecting. Seth, you're asking how many cubs on average are born in a cheetah litter. It very much, on average it's probably about 4, but there have been as many as 6, even 7 recorded, but on average it's about 4. Funny enough that you asked that, Seth. This litter that now is comprised of 2 cubs used to comprise 4. There used to be 4 cubs in this litter, and unfortunately just over the 7 months that this litter has been alive, unfortunately 2 members have been lost. The first one we suspect it was as a result of lions, we left her one evening in quite a dense area, and the next morning there were lion tracks all over the place, and one of the cubs was missing. And then not long after that, she disappeared with her 3 youngsters. And the next time we saw her, which was coincidentally probably about 2 weeks ago, she only had these 2. So a very tough life for cheetah. We said earlier how they like to rest in open areas because they're the smallest and the weakest of the large predators, and they need to rely on their speed to escape from dangers like those lions that we saw earlier. But because of that, being at the bottom of the food chain, they're very vulnerable to attack by other predators. Seth, you're asking how long cheetah will stay with their mothers. On average, Seth, about 18 months. So these little ones, like we said, they're about 7 months or so old. So not even halfway through their time with mom. Look at that little one getting up and going to greet her sibling. Oh, look at this, everybody. Isn't that just the most adorable thing? All cuddled up together. Little female on the right and her brother on the left. Look at how she's play biting his neck, practicing that killing bite that she'll use on impala and nyala when she's an adult. Holly, you're asking what a group of cheetah is called. And Holly, to be honest, I don't know what the correct collective noun is. So if it was, typically speaking, Holly, when there are groups of cheetah, it's normally either a mother and her litter of cubs. And so, a litter of cubs, we'd call them a litter of cubs, a group of males, which would be the other time when we teach cheetah together, and that, Holly, would be called a coalition. So we are coming to the end of show, everybody, well, the end of the SABC show. If you'd like to continue watching, for all of those of you watching on SABC, you can watch us on YouTube. Welcome back to our internet audience. We're so glad to have you with us, and we hope that you've enjoyed the first little bit of show. And I'm looking forward to spending the next little while with this mother and her 2 youngsters. It's good to see, look at how they're starting to get playful. Like we said this morning, we were hoping to see some play out of them, with them being, oh, look at this little female. She is so interested in those impala. Every time one of those impala moves, she just gets up and looks like she wants to start stalking. Look at her stretching her back, getting her body limbered up for high speed. Okay, while we watch these cheetah, let's quickly go and have a look at Juma. Apparently those little hyena cubs have come out.
Everybody, Corky's cub. We just closed our SABC show, and right on cue, these 2 cubbies came out, double trouble, and Corky's cub just popped his head up. I don't know if we're going to see it again. As soon as we close the show, can you absolutely believe that? I can't. Or actually I can. That's Sod's Law, as we call it. I think it's also called Murphy's Law. I can't believe it. The 3 of them all popped their head out at once. Ah, that was absolutely adorable. Hope you all got a really good view of that. It was fleeting. Maybe that'll be the only view we have. We don't know, but it was worth it. My name is Lauren. I do have VK on camera, and welcome to the normal drive. Can you honestly believe this? Well, hello you 2. You're a little bit late, but that's fine. We're very happy to see you. We really hope to hear from you all today. Send in your questions, your comments, hashtag Wild Earth on Twitter, or at FC on the YouTube chat. Kids, send in your questions too. kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. We sat very, very, very patiently for 1 hour for this. Comet is still here. We can't actually see him from where we are right now, but he's still here. Moonbeam, very good question. So hyenas have 14 different vocalizations, and one of them is very much a giggle. It's not a giggle, they're not laughing, but it sounds like a giggle to humans. It's more like a hee. Sounds like, well, it's very bizarre, and they're not laughing, I can assure you. We're sort of anthropomorphizing when we're saying that. They normally tend to giggle when they're slightly nervous. When they're in a situation that's making them a little bit nervous, you will find a hyena making that really bizarre noise that sounds like a giggle. They have a huge range of wonderful vocalizations. I love it when the cubs squitter, and I love it when the adults whoop. It's probably my favorite sound of the bush, next to a leopard's saw. I think a hyena's whoop is number one. I'm going to repeat myself, everyone, but I can't believe it. I can't believe all 3 heads popped up the minute we closed our show. And I don't know if we're going to see that little one again. I have no idea. But I think it's safe to say there is just one. We thought there might have been 2. But from what we've heard from other people and what I've managed to see, Corky just seems to have had 1 little cub. Listen. The milk bar is well and truly open. Douglas, yes and no. So normally when a hyena mother gives birth, she will stash her cubs or cub in a natal den. And this is normally anywhere between 0 to 4 weeks, so birth to 4 weeks. And it just keeps the cubs safe, protected, allows them to drink lots of delicious milk and get bigger and stronger, because these cubs are extremely rough with one another. We watched it this morning and it's unbelievable how rough they are. So a small little cub could end up getting hurt, even if it's by accident. Normally around the 4-week mark, the adults and the mums will bring the cubs together in a communal den, which is making me think this little one, I haven't had a good enough look at it yet. I literally only saw what you guys saw. I think it's about 4 weeks. I'm guessing it's about 4 weeks old. I'm really not sure we're going to see it again. It popped his head out, I think, to look for Mom, to look for Corky. The Juma clan is growing. Hopefully Corky's little one will be a girl. If these 2 are boys, we do need more females in the Juma clan. I cannot believe that. Anyway, everyone, I am over the moon and I hope you are too. I'm going to sit here. Hopefully we will get another glimpse of that little black bear.
Well, we're over the moon to have this tree that has sprouted horns and a pair of ears. It's not, it's a kudu if you look very carefully, but sometimes I feel like you have to squint when they hide behind vegetation because they are masters of camouflage. Maybe not quite a chameleon, but almost there. And in case you've forgotten who I am, my name is TAYLA MCCURDY, and on camera with me still is Gat, surprisingly. Right, I can't believe how still this kudu is standing. I'm hoping that it does move on a bit. So it's just up on one of the ridges. There it is. It's now going to trot up and over the rocks. Careful, watch your step. And we are indeed at Pridelands, as you may have seen from the lovely strap that came across the screen. So this is in Baluli Game Reserve, right on the edge of Hoedspruit, the bustling metropolis safari town that you often hear us talking about. Kudu, it was amazing how delicately you actually got up onto the top of those rocks. Now, I'm from obviously the Eastern Cape of South Africa, so the southeast coast, and there are lots of escarpments and ridges and all sorts of things. So this is actually how I'm used to seeing kudu, is up on the ridges and feeding in areas very much like this. Sorry, I'm just looking. This kudu's not playing ball behind the. There we go. Just getting the focus right. It's difficult. Now, Georgie, this is still a young kudu bull. He'd probably get another turn and a half in his horns. Yes, we're talking about you, boy, but you will blossom into a beautiful beast. But their horns can get exceptionally big, about a meter and a half. Gert, what would you say? Because you've spent a lot of time and you've seen some really big kudu bulls in your life. About a meter is really exceptional. So normally you'll see 2.5 to 3 turns, spirals in those horns. So it's always funny. Impala, I'm just going to digress here. Their Latin name, Apicerus malampus, translates to long-horned antelope, one-horned antelope. I don't think of an impala, I think of a kudu, or especially long-horned antelope, something like that. There's also an oryx that's got long, straight horns. But anyway, sorry, that was just something that I always think about. But they are in the spiraled horned antelope family. One of the more difficult words to say. We always laugh as safari guides because there's many different pronunciations of the word tragelaphus, and I think that James probably does the best one. So we must ask him how to say it, because I think he does all sorts of crazy things. Anyways, they're the impala that I was talking about, some of the rams. Going to join the kudu up on the rocks. And I don't know if the lions have come into this area, because we've been searching for them. And we know that they've come from the west, and their general direction was to the east. So we will keep a lookout.
Our cheetah cubs are still kind of lazily batting each other in the face with their paws, wiggling around. And the little female still looking in the direction of those impala. And I'm really hopeful, everybody, that it does escalate into a bout of play where the youngsters are chasing each other around, and maybe mom gets involved as well and starts to chase the cubs around. But before we get too much into that, this morning, on this morning's drive, there was a question from Striped Horse. And Striped Horse, I hope that you're watching. You were asking about if cheetah have ever been recorded stealing kills from other predators. And I had said I'd never heard of that happening with large predators, apart from other cheetah. Striped Horse, I went and I did some searching and some research, and I came across an article that showed some photographs of a hyena that killed a spotted hyena that killed a topi in East Africa. I think it was in the Masai Mara. And all of a sudden, while it was feeding on this carcass, a mother cheetah and her 3 almost independent cubs appeared and chased this hyena off of the carcass. So the story goes, and there are some photographs that appear to show the cheetah doing just that. So Striped Horse, I just wanted to get back to you on that. But back to the matter at hand, watching these little ones grooming themselves now. Busy licking their coats. Oh, that little female on the right looked like she just pulled a tick off of her body. I could just see the skin on her body rise as she gripped it in between her front teeth. Look at this! It's almost like this little female is just full of beans and her brother is not being excited enough. She keeps trying to get him to join into her game. Look how he's putting her paw in her face. And very often this kind of almost lazy play lying down on the ground is a precursor to them actually getting up and starting to stretch those muscles. They have moved maybe a few meters from where we saw them this morning. And I'm sure these little ones must be getting restless. So I'm hopeful that they're going to start to play. And just this whole setting reminds me of a time a couple of months ago. We were watching a mother cheetah and her cub, and they were resting just like this. And they started to initially play like this, mother and her cub, and they were chasing each other around and around in circles eventually. And they were running up and down trees, up and over fallen logs and termite mounds. And suddenly this one cub ran straight towards the vehicle, or the cub ran straight towards the vehicle, and he tried to sidestep away from the vehicle. And as he did that, Mom stuck out her paw and tripped him. And they were going so fast that the little one lost his footing and slid under our vehicle and then popped out the other side and carried on running. And Mom stood perplexed at the driver's side of the car looking to see where her son had gone. And then she kind of poked around the car and saw her little one running off, still trying to get away from her. So we're going to stick around. That's what I'm hoping for. No promises, but all we can do is wait.
It's good to have you back. So we've just been battling. We've got incredibly windy conditions. I'll give you some indication just how windy it is. Blow. It's blowing like a banshee out here today. So we're just driving around. There's hardly a track to be seen, particularly out in these exposed sandy areas. You can actually see where I walked earlier. I walked down here about 15 minutes ago, not even, probably 10 minutes ago, and my track's already starting to become indistinct. So the wind has really been gusting today, and there's a lot more forecast over the coming days. In fact, Saturday we're going to apparently be hit by a really intense cold front. So if anything, it should be very entertaining for all of you sitting nice and warm and cozy at home, watching myself and Hendry battling the elements. I'm just looking for any sign of pygmy. Yes, I'm losing my balance with this window. I'm looking for any sign of pygmy falcons. Yeah, I really still want to do a nice, some good stuff on pygmy falcons for you. And I know there's a pair that frequents this area, so I haven't seen the actual nest. Actually, he has a nest right here. Okay, so now that we know that there is actually a pygmy falcon in residence here, it looks super fresh. I think this is going to be a really good start to start doing maybe a couple of stakeouts here. We've also got some, well, I shouldn't jinx this because I've got a habit of doing it. We may even have a better idea of where that shell duck's nest may be, at least the area that it's nesting in. So we'll be looking for that over the coming days.
Okay, I think I should just go home now. My afternoon is complete. Finally, all those hours of watching Ribbon sleep paid off. Now the cubs are very excited. Comet's on the scene. Same male hyena from earlier. Blind in one eye, easy to recognize. He's been snoozing here all day. And he's just woke up. And that's why the cubs are very excited. Another hyena to play with. Oh, there's Eyeshadow. Hi, everyone. Nervous. Genitals are extended. Comet will not hurt them, but they're a little bit nervous. But they will react how Mom reacts, and Ribbon, wow, she's doing what Ribbon does best, and she's sleeping. I do wonder where Corky is. Is she feeding this little one nocturnally? I do not know. Kruger, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. Hyenas are promiscuous. They have, well, females will mate with many different males. and it's a very rare occurrence to see hyenas mating because of their bizarre genitals. As many of you know, when they mate, their genitals form what you call a copulatory lock. So they swell, the penis and the pseudopenis swell, and they're actually not able to disengage until mating is finished, copulation is finished. They literally can't pull apart. Or maybe they can, but it would be extremely painful and would do some internal damage. So, in order to protect themselves, because it will leave them very vulnerable to predators, they sort of are very secretive about their mating, would you believe it? They're not secretive about anything else. Comet is now lying in the puddle of urine of ribbons from this morning. Delightful. And all the other weird and wonderful antics that, there we go, that hyenas get up to. They're very secretive about their mating. It's not easy for the male. The male has to wait until the female is receptive and she gives the signal. Oh, this little cubby's having fun up there at the den. Having a little clean, I think. Don't use your teeth, little one. Don't use your teeth. So yes, it's very bizarre to see them mating, but you can YouTube it. It is very unusual. So of course, I'm not going anywhere. As usual, I'll stay here, but it seems that the lions have popped their head up.
So after sitting around, like we said earlier, that this pride has been moving quite a lot. It looks like something has caught their attention. Majority of the adult lionesses are up. It looks like they focused directly to our south. It looks like that's the direction they're possibly gonna head. Look at them now. See what they're doing there while they groom each other. That is something really important with lions to do, in particular when there is no food involved. Because when they do some of these good things they do together right now, it's what makes them strengthen their bond and makes them want to stay together. Because remember, with them, as much as they're sisters and aunties and cubs and all of that, when there is food involved, it's each animal for itself. So all the adult lionesses have got up, grouped up, and they start grooming. After this grooming session, chances are that they're going to get up and start moving again. So Kimi, not always. In this particular pride, we've got two of them. One is a young male and one is a young female. So exactly like all the other normal lions, they will be both sexes at all times. But yeah, we're lucky here because they are both male and female, which is quite great. Because when the male grows, if he survives until he's about 3.5, 4 years old, he will definitely leave the pride with his other sibling brothers that are young males. At least he will have the young female in the pride to still see and monitor the progress of growing. So while they keep grooming each other here, we're not going to leave them. Earlier on we thought we might want to go somewhere to check something out, but I think they're going to move shortly. So we're going to move, while we wait here, we will link you up to go see a rare bird.
I wish it was a leopard, but it's not a leopard. I'm just going to show you now. Here you go, center frame. Look, we've got a cool bird that I don't think I've seen for a very long time. It's a capped wheatear. And I must just apologize. The camera's going to move around a bit. We're just having some issues with our tripod head. So the wind is blowing it around hysterically at the moment as that bird is being blown away. But it's quite a striking bird. Look at that beautiful white supercilium. And then it's got sort of the white linings down onto its, a white throat. And then it's sort of very black mask. It's very, very pretty. And very fast, as we've discovered, as it motors along the ground. It's been quite interesting trying to keep up with it. Look at it go. It's having a lot of fun. He's actually giggling. Look at that. It's like it's drank about 3 energy drinks. But, of course, as you can imagine, spending time on the ground like this, it's feeding on all sorts of insects. Probably a lot of ants and termites at this time of the year, but any other insects that it can find. But that's awesome. I don't know when I last saw one of these birds. It's the first time I've seen one of these at Pridelands before. Have we ever seen them on Wild Earth? I'm not sure. I've lost count of what birds have and haven't been seen over the years. But it would be nice for some of the one of the older viewers who have been watching for many, many, many years. Maybe you can help us. A capped wheat ear. Is that clear enough? Must I write it? Because I can write it, but we know I make spelling mistakes after yesterday's debacle. So, but yeah, very, very cool to see. This looks like a male, just the colors are a lot more bold and more striking, where the females look like they've been through the washing machine a few times and left out in the sun. I wonder where its partner is. Actually, not sure what time of the year they're breeding. I wonder if it probably breed in the summer months, as do most birds, because it does nest in the grass or down on the ground. It makes these little like cup nest type things in a shallow bit of grass. So I suppose at this time of year it's quite difficult. So maybe later on in the year, normally most of the birds all these smaller birds start to breed around August, September, October, November, when we've had some rain and the insects are flourishing. There we go. So it is a new bird for at least one of the wonderful viewers, Mountain Oasis. Fantastic. Let us know. Tell me how many birds you are now on. And for those of you that are wondering how to interact with us, all you have to do is simply hashtag Wild Earth on Twitter. That is the easiest thing to do. Well, that was pretty spectacular. Now, there's a whole bunch of things. What I would like to try and do, I don't know, we might be a bit far away. There's some baboons in the distance. Should I drive us up a bit further forward? Okay, so the goal here is to just head up a little bit further, because there's some baboons that are grazing, but it's not the baboons that I'm really interested in. It's the crowned lapwings that are not very happy with them. So we'll try and have a look. I also saw an African pipit the other day, which I hadn't seen for a while. I know that it sounds bizarre. It's another bird that looks the same as every other lark and pipit. There are a couple of them actually flying around, but I'm going to just get you this view that I wanted to show you. I'll be there in 2 seconds. 2 shakes of a lamb's leg, as my dad would say. Shezi, most bird species are monogamous and will sort of mate for life, but this depends on a lot of different things. If they're not successfully breeding, then unfortunately they'll normally part ways, and they might not breed again. Some birds don't stay with one another all the time. They just come together for mating and breeding, or sort of breeding season. And then of course if one dies, then of course they need to find another mate. So they're the baboons feeding through the open area, probably picking up little herbs and forbs and things like that are growing there. I don't think they'll be eating the grass, or maybe pulling up and feeding on the grass roots. But there's lots and lots of crowned lapwings, which is another ground-dwelling species of bird that live around here. There's a horn. That's not the bird in the top right. That's a hornbill running around. And if these baboons, like we were talking about the vervet monkeys a little bit earlier, do come across one of those crowned lapwing nests, they are going to devour the eggs. But those eggs are super well camouflaged, and the adults are very, very protective. But it's all sort of settled down now. I think the lapwings must be happy that the baboons, you can see a few of them flying just behind. There they go. So they're not super settled just yet. Oh, they're actually mobbing those baboons onto the right. You can see them. They're probably going to come down. There we go. You can see they're not very happy. Right, I'm going to send you across to some hyenas that are also having a bit of afternoon fun.
Absolutely, TAYLA mobbing each other continuously. This spear. Now, the reason we do zoom into the genitals, I know it is bizarre and it's slightly strange. We think they're 2 boys. That's what we're sort of settling on for now, but we could be wrong. Hyena cubs grow, they change, they develop, and their genitals will change as well. So it's always good to just check in and just always make sure you can see that pinched tip. I know it does sound crazy, but that's why we do zoom in. And when they're grooming like that, it's really the best chance you get, because otherwise they are just constantly moving. They are bundles of energy. Elizabeth, we're settling on 2 boys for now, but we could be wrong. I'm more than happy to be very open and honest about that. We got ribbon 6 wrong for a very long time. She was thought to be a boy. She was much smaller because she was the lowest ranking hyena. And one day, I think it was Tristan, saw her with lactating nipples, and all became clear that she was not a boy. So we can get it wrong. The genitals are so similar. Pseudopenis looks just like a penis. There's just a slight difference at the tip. So we're settling on 2 boys for now, Elizabeth, but we really could be wrong, and I'm happy to say that. Not for 1 minute can I say not for 1 minute can I say that that's 100%. Oh, okay, so I'm going to sit tight with my cubbies. It appears Mr. Hendry has a little surprise for you.
We have found a surprise, but I mean, I'd love to claim credit for this, I really would, but I'm not going to. This was found for us. She came past the Star Village in the camp, and we were driving past there, and Fanwell the tracker was outside with a plate of food, and he was kind of eating it quietly, and then he pointed nonchalantly into the bush, and there was Shidulu the leopard. Which was very exciting, I think. I personally am deeply excited. What is she eating, David? Well, did you catch something? Just dung, just lovely buffalo dung. Yum. I must say, the look on her face gives one the impression that she may have been on the sauce. Yeah, no, she's just chewing a bit of buffalo dung, I think. What a stroke of luck. I will tell you that we had tracks of Tundi around the Twin Dams region, and I was about to head back in that direction. Oh, lovely. Beautiful. Lying down in dung. This is a leopard thing, that's what they do. What a joy. The light is gorgeous. Samuel, I can't tell the difference between Tundi and Shidulu's tracks. Many will tell you that they can. I would be suspicious of 90% of those claims. I can tell if it's a female leopard's tracks. If you put Tundi's next to Shidulu's, right next to them, you might be able to pick up the fact that Tundi's were smaller than Shidulu's, I think. But on their own, it's very difficult. That said, they occupy different territories for the most part, although we're in the corner where she and Shidulu and Tlalamba exist together. It's kind of the corner of their 3 territories, and so you could find all 3 of them in this area, and I would say that nobody I know is able to tell 100% whose tracks are whose, simply because, you know, their size varies depending on the substrate that they're walking in. So if they're walking in soft sand or hard sand, their track size is going to vary, and because their track sizes are so very similar, it's just very unlikely that you're going to be able to tell the difference, I think. Go ahead, Greg. Just on the game drive radio quickly. Go ahead, Greg. Oh, she's got got a nasty amount of dung on her face. Yeah, just come down the road towards Gary Dam. I'm trying to decide whether we should go around the other side of her or not, given that she seems to have decided to look down towards the waterhole, but I suspect quite strongly what she will do is turn round again. Okay, while I figure out what's going on here, let's go to Barney and his grooming white lions.
So yeah, those lions must been grooming each other for the last 2 hours, and most of them, when we look, if we get in right angle, they've got a lot of blood behind their necks and ears. Of course, if you walk as far as they've been walking for the last few days, you'll definitely have as much ticks as they have. So it looks like the grooming session is done. The next best thing for them to do now, as you see, some of them are still yawning. They look like they might get up and go. Look at that, another yawn. If she gives us 1 or 2 of those, she'll definitely stand up as she does right now. Because with lions, yawning means something different to what yawning means to us. It's a sign that they're getting slightly active, that they're waking up. See, she's walking a small distance, going to the bathroom just to make herself a little light before she starts and carry on with what they need to do for the night. And majority of them sets are up. Some are lazing out a little bit more, but I think we're gonna be on the way soon, which will be exciting. It doesn't look like they've eaten anything in the last 2 or 3 days. With the mission of the afternoon, maybe they'll find something while we can try and keep up with them. Maybe we'll be lucky to get to see them in action. Of course, it's not guaranteed that even if they spot something when they get up that they will catch, because their success rate is between 20 and 30%, which is seriously low for a predator. But it's what it is, and also these herbivores out here are also fully aware about the danger that might come. A day like today, with the much wind as we have and as cold as it is right now, they might be active for quite a while. And of course, once the cover of the darkness falls, they'll have a little bit more advantage. As it is now, you can see the lioness that's standing up, how nice and great her camouflage is. If you look closely at the back of her neck, as I was indicating earlier, you can see a little bit of red dots. And those red dots is where, when she scratches, she pulled some ticks off, and when she was being groomed, and you can see a little bit of blood coming up. And there's few of them that we saw with that as they were grooming just now. But like I said, after the distance they've been moving, they must be collecting as many ticks as they can, not because they want to, but ticks are also taking an advantage of getting these things that are walking by and jump in. And again, because they're walking so far, they're not giving themselves too much time to actually groom each other. At least they did a 15 to 20 minutes grooming session now, which I think might have been the first one in the last few days. And look at that, she's coming back. It looks like she's trying to encourage everybody else. Cranky, everything with the white lines is similar to that one of the semi-tawny colored lines. And of course the lifespan will be the same. But you must know out here, as much as we will estimate that lionesses can live up to about 15, sometimes to 17 years old, things do happen in the process where they can get killed either by trying to on a buffalo hunt, by buffaloes, or they can be trampled by elephants if they're not quick enough, and more so that they might come across other prides and hurt each other quite badly and die from those injuries. As for the young male, and of course male's lifespan is much shorter. This young male, he's managed to survive with his 2 other brothers that most vulnerable stage when they were very young, when they were being left alone. The next most vulnerable stage for him coming up ahead, maybe in the next year and a half or so, it's when he gets kicked out of this pride, and that's when they become nomadic lions. And when that happens, they move from one male's territory to the other because they're being chased in the area where they were born and raised, either by their own fathers or with the new males that might be here taking over this territory at that time. And for them to be able to stay alive, they need to run away as far as they can. And when they start gaining confidence, they need to be great fighters to be able to survive until they become dominant male one day. On that particular stage, at least 60% of the male lions, that's where they get killed. White or tawny doesn't really matter, but that is the story of a male lion. So is he going to be able to survive through that until he becomes a dominant male and take over a pride one day? That is a question that nobody can answer right now. So that's one great thing about watching these animals from when they're young and watching them grow, that hopefully one day we'll be able to see what happens to them, which is what keeps us excited and interested to see what will happen next.
Just come halfway up the road to between the Pan and Quarantine, and just look to the south. We're there. In fact, just head due west from where you are. Hello everybody. Sorry, I'm just trying to get somebody else into the sighting. Beautiful, beautiful Shidulu, the leopardess. Looks like she might be looking for a lift. She's giving David the eye. Hello, my dear. Right, I think she might go and have a drink at the Pan here. Yeah, go ahead, Greg, come in. She's heading for the Pan here. Angie, the gestation period of a leopard is around about 100 days. Plus minus. I'm sure there's quite a lot of variation, but that's what they'll tell you. I just don't want to drive. I don't think we have a choice. We're going to have to go across this stuff, otherwise we'll end up in the Pan. Alright, now that's where we are now is the Pan in front of the hide at Tumbeta camp, which is one of the camps at Djuma. I don't know if she's going to drink here or if she's just going to walk on by. Or maybe go into the hide and spend some time in there, do some bird watching. So this, if you're wondering, is where you can come and sit and have a drink or your coffee or tea or whatever it is and watch whatever comes down to the Pan. She now seems to be about to mark her territory on the floodlight there. Yep. Well, I hope that's been securely insulated from the weather, because if not, it's going to have a short fairly soon. We're just going to keep on following her until that becomes impossible.
How exciting that Shidulu might go and take a photography lesson or two in that hide. We haven't got leopard though, we have got the lions again, and this is all thanks to Norman, our expert tracker and also instructor at Eco Training. As we were driving around looking for them, Norman went in on foot with one of the students who is doing their tracking and trailing, and trailed them for, goodness, I don't know, maybe about 40 minutes or so. And they haven't moved that far from where we saw them this morning as sort of the crow flies, but they did stick towards the drainage lines, which explained why it was a little bit difficult for us to try and find them. I don't blame them trying to keep out of the wind, but they're glancing over at us, but I don't think it's us that they're really interested in. The wind is swirling a fair amount, and if you did catch the sunrise safari, I showed you that there were a whole bunch of impala and wildebeest on the open plain, and they're actually moving down in the direction of where these lions are. not too soon to panic. The wildebeest is still a fair distance away, but this is a great opportunity for these cats because the prey that they'd prefer to go after, a wildebeest, has now moved out of that open area with short grass, virtually nowhere to hide, into ambush central. So I'm hoping that we will see something. But there are also baboons. You saw the baboons out on the open plain, which might be a bit of a letdown for the lions. Seth, lions are the most powerful cats that we have in Africa. They're obviously the largest cat species that we see. We don't have any tigers here. But just to give you an example, a fully grown male lion can bring down a buffalo by himself, no problem. And I mean, a buffalo weighs in excess of 800 kilograms. That's a big animal. These boys probably weigh between 250 and 280 kilograms, maybe even just under 300 kilograms. They're fairly big boys. I don't think they're the biggest lions I've seen, but they are big. You can just see, look how wide his eyes are. He's wired and he just looks like he's excited. So I think he's spotted the movement of the wildebeest now. So I'm hoping that if we just sit tight where we are, that we should be able to see all the action if it does happen. But lions don't seem to make hasty decisions. Sometimes they do, but not always. It always takes them a bit of time. But to bring down a wildebeest, no problem. There we go, there's the other boy. You just saw him sit up too, so they're both there, in case you were wondering. And after triple checking and chatting again to my wonderful investigators that always help me figure out who the animals are, I can quite confidently say that these are indeed the MCCURDY males. So it's nice to know who they are. Whether the name will stay, I'm not sure. I don't know what MCCURDY actually means. I know that there is a property, and I think it's in the Timbavati, called that, and I think that's where they got their name from, because that's where they were first sort of sighted. And that's typically how we name the male lions, is normally from the pride that they're from, and that pride typically will get the name from the farm or reserve that they were first seen at.
I haven't quite been able to tear myself away from the den yet. Look at the position of that second little guy. It's hard to tell who's the more dominant of the two. It may be marginal, but one of them will be more dominant. I think it could possibly be the lighter one, the one on the left. Just from watching their behaviors, but I'm actually not sure. The lighter one is slightly bigger and seems to be braver, if that makes sense. Seems to be the one that wants to race up to the car and jump on mama's head and challenge the adults. So I think it could be the lighter one with the smiley face, but I'm not entirely sure. And this is their happiest time. They've been jumping on Ribbon's head for about half an hour now, and she's still sleeping. Oh, what it must be like to be a mother. But I was talking earlier about hyenas eating and how they're actually the most, or one of the most efficient carnivores, because they just eat everything. They utilize every single part of their prey. They can eat up to 20% of their own body weight in one sitting, which is incredible. I mean, I could also easily do that, but in saying that, it's very, very efficient, and that's why they do gorge themselves. That's why they do look so full and uncomfortable, because they don't know when their next meal is. Now, there was once a sort of record of a clan of hyenas actually dismantling and devouring a zebra in 25 minutes. 400 pounds a zebra can weigh. And they can dismantle that in 25 minutes. And when I say dismantle, that's maybe not the right word. Completely devour every part of the zebra, apart from the stomach contents, the rumen, and the hooves. They can actually swallow hooves, but they'll regurgitate them later, which is not so pleasant. It's just eat, 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 eat before someone comes along and steals it. You never know who's going to come along and steal it. Another hyena. Many vultures, jackals, other scavenging birds of prey, a lion. They've got to eat quick. I don't actually think they chew most of the time. And they're able to sort of be one of the most successful carnivores in Africa because of their stomach acid. It's a really, really low concentration of hydrochloric acid. And we'll come right back to that because there's some fascinating facts about their stomachs. But I believe Shidulu is posing in the golden light.
She is ready and waiting, and she's just sitting on the termite mound there and surveying the clearings, and perhaps thinking to herself, what a lovely meal an impala would make. Gorgeous. Only problem from a camera point of view is that there is about, well, I don't know, a ton of Chlorus roxburghiana obscuring her face. Has she seen something? Shidulu. Shidulu. Such a distinctive looking cactus. Yeah, she's spotted something, or she's heard the contact calls down there of some francolins. Those very special eyes are fixed on something. Right, let's quickly go over to Pindo, where Africa's other spotted cat is on the hunt.
Welcome back, everyone. You're just in time. This mother cheetah has just spotted some inyalas coming out of the thickets into the open, and she went from being completely fast asleep to awake and ready to hunt in a flash. She's already covered probably about maybe 50 meters. And she's got maybe another 80 or so to go, and there's a good bit of cover between her and those inyala. If she can stay low, look at that bit of bush in front of her. If she can get to that bush and lie there for a second, wait for those inyalas to come further out. Watch how she moves whenever they put their heads down. See now, heads down, and she creeps forward. Head up, she freezes. Head down, move again. Oh my word, she's covering this distance so quickly. Now, those inyala, we've now seen her try to hunt impala once before, and we saw how the impala ran into they ran a bit more into the open. These inyala, being antelope that rely on cover for safety, they use their camouflage and their ability to kind of weave in between trees and branches. They will probably flee into those thickets, which will be bad for her. So she'll want them to be as much in the open as possible when she charges. Something has just caught the inyala's attention. Look at how they've lifted their heads up, and they're looking at her. Something's alarm calling. Something has seen her. Ah, there's a herd of wildebeest off to the right. The wildebeest are alarm calling, but the inyalas are not paying any attention. They looked around. They didn't see anything, so they carried on feeding. Wildebeest alarming more and more. And the inyala keep looking at the wildebeest whenever he alarms. They keep looking up, but they haven't seen her yet. They're looking in the wrong direction. Oh, and once she gets past that bush, she's... Oh, don't move. Once she gets past that bush, it's going to be tough. Look at how there's that bit of open ground between the bit of cover she's behind now and the cover that she's got to get close enough to those Inyala. But she might even... It's tough to gauge because, I mean, she's so far away from us now. And so difficult to kind of judge, I don't know, depth or field of depth from here. But if I had to estimate, she's maybe another 40, 50 meters from those Inyalas right now. And they're moving away from her. That'll be good in terms, well, for her at least, in terms of her being able to cross that open ground. But she's got to be patient. Gremlins, you're asking if cheetah will also hunt at night. Gremlins, it's not usual. Cheetah have adapted to hunting during the daytime to try and avoid competition with the bigger predators like lions and leopards, which are predominantly nocturnal in most areas. And also because of the way that they generally hunt, using high speed, which is not as easy to do at night. It's a bit more difficult to weave in between branches and stuff in the dark. So typically they'll hunt during the day, but every now and then, if the area is open enough, often if it's a full moon, there are occasions when cheetah will hunt at night. We've noticed here on Pinde, especially with adult males, especially coalitions of males, they will often hunt either just after sunset, just before sunrise, and sometimes even at night. She is so close to those Inyala now, everybody, and they haven't seen her yet. They're looking around. Ooh, the one on the right. No, it hasn't seen her. It was looking straight at her, everybody. I was convinced that it had seen her. And she's sitting down. And now she'll be coiling those muscles. Oh, here she goes. She's inching towards them. If she runs, oh my goodness, we're going to have to race to try and catch up with her. But like I said, she'll want to try and get a little bit around. Look at the thickets to the left of the Inyala. That's probably where they're going to go if they realize that she's there. They're going to try and get into the dense bush, try to use the cover to their advantage. There she goes. She'll want to get to the left of them. Look how low she's keeping. Oh my word. Oh, she's out in the open. If they turn around, they're going to see her. There she goes. She's running. The cubs are false started. No cubs. There she goes. There she goes. There she goes. Oh my word, everybody. Okay, we're going to try to catch up. There she goes. She's come out. Oh, she's missed. She's missed. Here she comes. But the cub's running in the wrong direction. Where are you going, cub? That was insane. Second time in less than a week now that we've watched this cheetah attempt to hunt. They're just in front of us here. Oh, and while we're at it, how magnificent is that sunset? It was ridiculous. See, those Impala, they went straight in, those Inyalas, they went straight into that very dense bush. And the mother cheetah didn't even try to keep up. She knows that she'll be outmaneuvered in there. Oh, what's that? Oh, okay, everybody. So mom and the two youngsters all back together, reunited. Whew, after all that excitement, you might need a bit of something relaxing to see just to get the heart rate down a little bit. So let's go and see a relaxing leopard.
I must say, that sounds like a tremendously exciting thing to have seen. And, you know, with cheetah, I'm sure Damon told you this, the chances are pretty good, you know, when they get that close and they actually have a chase, you've got a pretty good chance. Anyway, bad luck. Looks like the youngster made a bit of a hash of it. Shidulu hasn't moved since last you saw us. She's still just sort of twitching from side to side, having a look to see if she can spot anything that might be worth eating. Excuse the shuffling around. I'm putting my jacket on. David is shaking his head at me, everybody. David doesn't care if I get pneumonia, drop dead. Do you, David? No. Well, unfortunately for you, I'm now warm. So double pneumonia is not in the offing. She looks like she's looking straight towards the sunset now. Appreciating it like we like to. This is a really nice kind of afternoon for her to just wait until it's dark and then try and go off hunting. Shenzi, that black band is just part of the camouflage. It's just part of the spot pattern. And they actually use it, they call it the necklace. And I've heard some people refer to it as the choker. And it's very distinctive, and it's one of the ways you can identify different leopards, because they've all got the black band, but the arrangement of spots underneath the chin is unique, obviously, to each leopard. And some people use that to identify leopards. But it's not there for any specific purpose other than for camouflage, same as the rest of the spots. Special cat. Gosh, it's wonderful to be with a leopard. Just never gets old. This is astonishing, the thrill I get when I see that leopard's tail flick up out of a bush and you've spotted her. The relief that washes over, the happiness, the joy, it is undiminished despite the amount of time I've been doing this. Krishna, you're wondering about all of the ways that I recognize Shidulu. Well, she's got a 5-5 spot pattern. That means the spots above her whiskers, 5-5. She's a relatively large female, but for me, her eyes are extremely distinctive. And I don't know what it is about them. They're just not quite as round as other leopards' eyes. And so when she looks dead straight at me, it's fairly clear to me, and I must at this point confess to being very poor at recognizing animals in general, and people actually. But Shidulu is pretty distinctive. And then, of course, if you see the leopard in an area that you know to be part of her territory, then it becomes obvious. But as I was saying, you would expect to see Thandi, Tlalamba and Shidulu, female leopards in this area. I don't know what her necklace pattern is. I haven't managed to, I've never used that to identify leopards. Perhaps I should, maybe I'll be better at it. All right, we'll see where Shidulu goes. You're going to go up and watch some yoga with the Birmingham Pride.
It looks like the moment we've been waiting for has finally arrived. Majority of the individuals on the Pride are up and one or two is already moving. It looks like everybody else is gonna start following shortly. There we go. So they're doing what lions do best when they stand up, and just before they go, they stretch like an athlete, a little bit of a yoga session right there. And they groom a little bit, and then some of them stand up, go take a dump before they go, just to make themselves light. I'm wondering, majority of this pride doesn't look like they've eaten lately, so I don't know if they even have got anything left in their stomach to drop before they get going. So let's welcome the young male into the party here. He has been flat the whole time, so we haven't really been seeing much of him. Now that they look like they're gonna go, he eventually decides to put his head up. He knows for a fact that he doesn't want to be left behind while he's sleeping, because right now he's got a little bit of a limp. He's relying on on the lionesses to do the job, and he comes and dominates them. If they're lucky to catch something this afternoon or this evening, he will be the happiest lion on earth, because the two roast males that are his match when it comes to fighting for food on this pride are not here today. So if anything goes well as far as hunting is concerned, he's gonna possibly take most of the carcass. However, the lionesses are not gonna just sit back and let him do it. They're gonna fight him for it. So of course, with his limp that he has, looking at the distances they've been covering, if they don't catch something close by, he's gonna have to try hard to keep up with them. It looks like they haven't made up their mind as to which direction they're gonna go. They've been steering both east and south, but it looks like they might even go more south than east, as we see. Look at how distinct is the black behind the ears in all of them. Now that they're facing away and looking like they're focused on something on the other side. That is what the cubs will look for to be able to keep up with the mothers, because look at the color of their coat versus the color of the grass they're lying on. They're taking forever to decide what they want to do, but I won't blame them looking at the distance they've covered even during the day today. Maybe they just are waiting for the night to fall so that they can have a little bit more advantage compared to now. Yeah. The wind is quite strong, but looks like the lionesses are putting their nostrils up in the air. There might be a scent they've picked up, or they might even have heard something. One thing for sure, all their senses are much, much better than our senses. Douglas, they won't go as far as kicking them out, because the lions, they've got a strong bond and they're all related, and they know that they need to look after each other. What they might do, if one individual is running their hunt a little bit more than others, they might start trying to put that certain individuals at the back of the queue as they start with their hunting. Or they might actually even start using that particular individual on a different way, instead of being the one that's trying to ambush so that they chase things towards him, since they're going to see him from far. They might even start taking position and let him be the one that is chasing the prey towards where they will be ambushing. So these animals are so smart, and they've got all the senses that to help them make greater decisions for the success of the whole pride. So they will use different strategies, if needs be, to be able to accommodate one another and utilize the other member of the pride to the fullest capacity. This young male said keeping head up didn't last too long. Popped back down, but he's definitely gonna keep a listen out to see what these lionesses are doing. As much as it's just gone down, if they stand up and move now, he's gonna follow them right away. So while these guys are waiting here and still looking around while they're trying to make up their mind, we'll send you to go see cheetahs. That sounds like they've already tried their hunt and things didn't work out. And I will stay here a little bit more. Hopefully by the time you get back to us, these lions will be on the move and possibly starting to hunt.
Our family of cheetah have found a pretty little spot to lie down after all the excitement. It's interesting to see now, just watching as they kind of regrouped after Mom's exciting chase. And we said how the cubs seemed to have false started and how they wanted to charge in, very enthusiastic to come and help Mum. And the one little one ended up running in the wrong direction. But now she's back with her mum and with her brother. She was a little bit out of breath, definitely more so than her mother, shame. She was panting quite heavily. But now they're all contentedly resting. Look at how they're all facing in different directions. Just helping to keep that 360-degree awareness that they'll need tonight. And the sun has just gone down over the western horizon. And of course now this is the time of day when she and her little ones are going to be most vulnerable to the bigger predators like lions, leopards. We've been hearing quite a few alarm calls in the thick riverine bush off to our east. It may be that a leopard has woken up and started to move around on its evening patrol. We also know that there is that pride of lions kind of fragmented all over the place, to her south, to her west, and to her north. So she's going to need to have her wits about her tonight. So we'll probably move out of the area pretty soon, just to give her and her little ones the space that they need to take in their surroundings, not be distracted by any external sounds. And like we said, the fact that she wasn't super full-bellied, and the fact that she's just tried to hunt now, means that I'm pretty sure that maybe tomorrow she might start to seriously try to hunt. And I mean, after all that excitement that we just had now, I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm quite keen to go to try and watch round 2. So we'll leave her for now, let her and her little ones rest for the night, and maybe come back to look for them in the morning or in the afternoon. What a fantastic afternoon it's been with this mother and her 2 little ones.
What a fantastic afternoon it has been. Just in time to catch the sun before it really sinks below the horizon. So I thought we could just sit here and all appreciate it together.
Coming to a first corner now.
I do apologize. That is not ideal for a moment of silence. Let's try again. I'm going to sit here just a little bit longer to admire the sunset, but I believe there is a baboon at the top of the tree waiting to say hello to you all.
it's actually very entertaining. We're still in the area of the lions, but some of the baboons that were down on the ground are now up and feeding in the trees. And this is a tree wisteria that this bobo is now sitting in, and it's been quite interesting to watch it to feed because of the various techniques that it's doing, like that one where you just use your teeth and you rip the branch off. Otherwise, sometimes it's quite delicate and just plucks individual leaves. But it looks like it's being like an elephant right now, and also feeding on the cambium layer. You can see they're just stripping the inside of the bark. Now, we're going to just keep watching the baboons. Norman has told me he was on the other side of the drainage line, that the lions did get up and have started moving. Their general direction is towards us, but I'll get an update from him in a minute. But if they do move out into the open, they're going to ruin any plans that they had of hunting in this area, because with a baboon sitting up on top of the tree like that, and you can see it is looking around and very nervous, it's going to spot those lions quite quickly. But they're also impala, and most of them are rams here, and every now and then they let out the odd snort, which gives everybody a heart attack, and then they run away. That one there in particular, you can only see half of him. He's the culprit. And I don't think that he can smell or see the lions. I think he's just being a bit of a drama queen this afternoon and causing unnecessary havoc. Yes, you go. Okay, I'm wondering where those lions have gone. I'm going to just raise myself a little bit. I'm also just trying to listen to where Norman is going, so we're not going to move just yet. We'll just wait patiently and watch this baboon. But there was quite a few of them sitting up in the top of the tree. I can only just see two. The one you won't get a good view of because it's just off and behind some branches. But look how full its mouth gets. Now, they do have cheek pouches, baboons, so they can keep lots of, you can see them, how their cheeks sort of, I don't know why I always want to do what the animal is doing and then try and speak at the same time. But anyways, but they always look like they've got tennis balls in the side of their mouths.
Time we've been waiting for has finally came. The rest of the pride is now up and about. Majority of them walking past the vehicle right now. Look at how many more have gone past already that are in the middle of the road there. You can see the young male we were talking about earlier. He's right in the middle of the circle. The thing that male lions are lazy and he wants to be at the back doesn't work with him because he doesn't want to be left behind. So this is quite a big pride. So looking at how many there are, even if they successfully catch something, if they catch something small like an impala, it's not going to go far at all. So if they catch impalas, they're going to need to catch more than one to be able to get all of them full. Otherwise, some of them might not even be able to get a bite out of that. See how they're walking and stopping? Looks like they're focusing more to the left. Maybe when they were lying down with the wind, maybe they smelled something. Or maybe they could have heard something. So this is a beginning of a long night coming up ahead of these guys, unless they're really, really lucky to catch something before it's too late. Otherwise, they've got some serious distance to cover to try and find stuff, because as it is now, when we're sitting here, I haven't heard or seen anything that's close by that they can attempt to hunt. So we're going to follow them and see where they go. So looking at them, you see how they're walking on the road now, which is a path of less resistance. If this road is still going on the same direction they want to go, they're going to keep in it, but as soon as they see an opportunity to hunt, they'll go there. While we try to get ahead of them, to watch them walk towards us, we're going to link you to a leopard on a hunt and see how that goes.
She's hunting. She's just in front of us there, trying to close the distance between a herd of impala and her. They're coming along parallel with us. I'm just going to keep my distance. She's being very confiding with us, and I think she thinks that they're going to go out onto the clearings in front of our camp. So let's just go up this side. We don't want to lose her, but at the same time we don't want to ruin her hunt. Can you see her, Dov? She's just... we're on the road here. They're all running now. They're not alarming, they're just kind of running across the road. There she is. She was lying on the road. I think she's given it up now, because all the impala are streaming along doing their evening exercise. They haven't seen her. They've just gone scootling along, and I'm sure they're going towards the clearings, in fact, in front of the dam cam. Oh, they've seen something. May well have been her. Or one of them is saying to the others, "Did you see that as we crossed the road?" And they're all going, "What?" She doesn't think it's her that they've seen. See how she's looking? I suspect it is her that they've seen. Now again, it just shows you how impossible these cats are to track. She walked a pretty straight line to that termite mound where she was, and then she spotted the impala. She came down and she's just basically done 180 degrees and turned and come back this way. So if you came along this road, you'd find her tracks going both ways across the road, and it would be impossible to tell which one was fresher, because they were within sort of 20 minutes of each other. And what she's doing now is waiting to see if perhaps any more impala are going to cross the road. Good night for hunting. No moon with this cloud, and quite a lot of wind. I am the victor. Absolutely. Animals of different kinds do understand each other to a certain extent. Those impala were alarm calling. She knows what that means. She knows that that's an alarm call. Other antelope species will know that that's an alarm call. Birds will know that that's an alarm call, quite possibly. I'll just follow her gently down the road here. I think she's ostensibly on a territorial patrol, but will take the opportunity to hunt if she can. And I say that because she was doing a lot of marking. Oh, there are some impala straight in front. She's just spotted them as well. Just in front there. She's about 30 meters from them. Look at this. Excuse me. I've got half an almond stuck in my throat. Now what she's doing is waiting to see if they will come any closer to the cover that she's behind. And what we want to do is make sure that we are not close enough to the impala that they increase the distance between us and therefore between her and them. So there are 3 of them that have hung back away from the rest. Leopard hunt and cheetah hunt in one drive. Pretty good going. I can't see any of them anymore. Can you, Dar? Just look down into the bush there. There, I think she south, or they've moved off towards the north, but they have not crossed this road. Alright, let's quickly go back across to Barney. His lions are now giving him the evil eye.
Look at how powerful is the muscles on the chest on this lioness that's about to walk past us, and how big are those front paws. Giving Owen, my photographer behind me, a personal look as she walks by. See how nicely scattered they are. Some of them grooming and trying to line up, bless you. Get a little bit of sneeze there. All yawning as they go. The 3 adult lionesses that are most experienced out of this lot have led the way. They are scouting as they go and just looking at things and checking open areas just to make sure that they're not gonna run something that could be a good opportunity to hunt. Look at how big is this young male. He's grown a lot in the last while. He's only just over 2 years old, but he's quite a big lion. He's decided to investigate the vehicle a little bit. Standing still, but it looks like he's gonna carry on, try to catch up with the older adult lionesses on the other side. This is his other sibling, sort of brother, that he'll possibly one day live with him together to go start their own thing somewhere. Here comes another big lioness. Oldest one of them all. She is the... Richard, by the looks of things now, looking at already he's got a little bit of an extended fur in and around his neck, and it also looks white. So I don't know if it's gonna grow up to stay white, or it might change color a little bit, but if I have to guess, I will think that it will stay white. Here comes another young boy who's also the 3rd one that is gonna join his brother, a white brother, one day when they leave. And as for this guy that's coming towards us now, who is limping, he was very unfortunate. He was the only male offspring out of his litter. So they all slowly but surely walking past us, and he would have been long gone if he had other brothers with him, but he tends to stuck around with the pride. It will be interesting to see what's going to happen next in his life. As they all walk past us, we're going to link you over to go see something else that's quite magnificent. And we're going to turn around and try and catch up with them again and see what the lionesses up ahead might have spotted, if they have spotted anything.
So we've had a fairly dismal afternoon in terms of what we were actually looking for, and I don't want to tell you what it is just yet. But we came across this kudu bull, this beautiful kudu bull. That's lying down there. But what the interesting thing there is, if you look at the wind direction, like that, very, very gusty this afternoon, and you can see he's lying out of the wind in the shelter there. So even these large-bodied animals, we've been referring to meerkats all the time, and these small animals that battle with thermoregulation in very, very windy or cool windy conditions. That kudu bull's just doing the same thing. It's probably also got a lot to do with just sheer comfort. You're lying out the wind, it's not as cold, which is the thermoregulation side, but it's also, there's probably less noise around you. But whereas out in these exposed areas, you're trying to concentrate on a whole lot of different things at the same time in terms of predation. Some people also have proposed the theory that by lying in the shelter like that, they're actually lying with their backs to the wind. So Trishna has just asked which predators hunt kudu. We've got a stack of things out here that will hunt kudu. Lions, cheetah will take them. Not necessarily these big bulls for cheetah, but kudu cows, absolutely, and calves. Leopard will take younger kudu. This one's, again, these big bulls are kind of out of the range of most things except for wild dogs, which we've got as well. So wild dogs, and hopefully we'll be able to show you those over the coming weeks. They're going to be quite difficult to find, but we'll put out ears for them. But yeah, dogs will take them. And even kudu calves, young calves, newborn calves, you've had records of caracal taking them, but those are like larger caracal. And yeah, so kudu are on the menu for a lot of things. But what I was saying there about lying out of the wind, one of the theories there is that by lying with your back to the wind like that, you kind of covering that quarter in terms of sense of smell and hearing, anything approaching from that side, and then your visual acuteness covers the bases in front of you. That's one way of thinking. I don't know how accurate that would be, and you don't really have to sit down and look at a lot of kills to actually try to figure out if there's anything in terms of wind that's involved. But while we're standing here, we've got this beautiful tree called a shepherd's tree. Very, very common out in these areas. In fact, it's one of the most common species here. But I'm just going to move this little other, if you don't mind, I'll move you beautiful little bush at the base of here. This actually might not work so well. I'm going to go, wait, don't go anywhere. I'll do that. There you go. It's going to be quite tough. Sorry, Jandre, you're going to hate me for this. But right at the base over here, wait, let me do a contortionist trick. You can see all these gnaw marks. Can you see that, Jandre? See all these gnaw marks at the base of this tree, all the way, and it actually goes all the way around. That's porcupine. So those marks are not fresh, but porcupines will actually eat these trees. And what I wanted to say that's really interesting about this, and we've seen it a lot with roan doing it in particular. Roan, you know, those massive antelope with the recurved horns, they look like a sable, but they're kind of a roany color. They will actually sometimes gnaw the bark on these trees quite high up as well. And it's actually got anthelmintic properties to it. Very, very mild, but it does. In other words, it can control worms. So, and there's a beautiful tree that grows where our colleagues work as well, also called a balanites, a torchwood. Also very, very strong anthelmintic qualities there as well. So it just shows that, I don't know why the porcupines are eating it, might just taste good. But the fact that it's only been gnawed on a little bit, and it's quite old, probably tells me that it may have something to do with some kind of self-medicating thing on the porcupine's behalf. We're going to keep on ambling down the road here and hopefully find what we're looking for, but I can't tell you. But unfortunately, the wind has been pumping, so we're actually just battling on tracks at the moment. But that's part and parcel of the Kalahari with the soft sand, so let's give it a bash.
We've been doing the same thing, but we have got the lions, which is really nice, and they're still hiding behind the bushes, but at least they are waking up, which is a great start. So there's been lots of yawning, and the grooming of the paws, which is very important, has just begun. So hopefully after this, they'll do what Barney said that lions normally do when they get, or just before they get moving. So we shall see. But anyways, these two males are really interesting. Now, the one male that we did see really nicely this morning that had his head up, you noticed that he had a rather large nick in his left ear, almost like the tip of his ear has been chopped off. I think he's slightly older than the other male, because when I look at pictures of them, even from when they were quite young, he's just got a more, has always had a more full mane. I mean, again, they could be from two different females, that might have something to do with it, but he just looks a little bit bigger, so there might be 6 months to a year in age difference, but we're not really going to be able to figure this out right now. The other male, I'll tell you about that in a minute. Holly, I think the lions definitely know that we're watching them, especially they can hear me coming from a mile away. I think whether they know that they are being streamed to a live audience from across the globe, probably not. But I'll tell them when they walk past that do they know that they're live and they need to behave accordingly. No, I'm just teasing. It would be nice if they knew. I think there's a leopard, some of you may remember him, Hosana, who roamed at one point on Juma Game Reserve where James and Lauren are, and I'm pretty sure that Leopard knew when he was on camera or not, because he always used to put on a show. Him and a Quarantine as well, which was his brother. But from a different litter. But anyways, the other male lion is, yeah, like I was saying, he's slightly younger, and it would be nice to just get some really good ID shots so we can figure out how to ID him. They've both got a fair amount of scratches on their faces. I don't think all the scars are going to stay there forever. They'll probably fade. The other thing that I noticed with the male with the nick in his left ear is he's got quite a swollen muzzle. And it looks like he's been stung by a few bees. He hasn't, it's just the way his face is. And it almost reminds me a little bit of, maybe, again, some of you will remember, the Birmingham males that also once roamed in the northern Sabi sand. And there was a male by the name of Mfumo, who also had a rather sort of round muzzle, which was quite interesting to have a look at.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
She's far too exhausted to do anything further other than have a snooze. But I must just say that I love the colour there of the slightly red-tinged earth and the golden cat's pelage, the white whiskers. I just think the colour palette as we go into this really dry time of year is harsh sometimes, but for me the most attractive. A few starlings calling in the background. Pearl spotted owl very far away. So again, it's very interesting to me how, we try and track and find these cats and we try and predict what they're going to do. So when you're tracking, a lot of it is predictive. I can't see the tracks. Where do I think this cat would have gone? Well, when I last had them, they were heading in X direction. And you'd assume, or I would have assumed, if I'd seen her and gone away from here and tried to come back here, I would have said, this cat is on a territorial patrol. She's heading in a southerly direction. Let me go and check the road to the south of here and see if she crossed it. What she did was she walked up onto a termite mound, had a sleep, saw some impala. They were going completely the opposite direction. She gave up on her territorial patrol entirely, went on a bit of a hunt, gave up, and instead of then continuing on her territorial patrol, she's now gone to sleep. And so to predict what on earth they are going to do is nigh on impossible. And so unless you have the skills to be able to follow them track for track, people can. Finding the tracks puts you in the area where they could be. But after that, there's a lot of luck involved. Lovely sound of a cricket. I just find them such a comforting sound. Sound of crickets in the night. Dov, what an interesting question. Is Hosanna pregnant yet? It's very unlikely that Hosanna is pregnant, mainly because Hosanna is a male leopard, and the chances of him becoming pregnant are roughly 0. So no, Hosanna is definitely not pregnant. Has he, just in case you don't know, everybody, Hosanna is a male leopard who was born here on the 2nd of February in the year 2016. He is now 4 and a bit, and has established himself a territory down on the Sand River between Singita and the property west of that, I think, and north of that on Ottawa. He has been seen mating, as far as I'm aware, so he may have impregnated another leopard, and he may well be a father fairly soon, if he isn't already. But absolutely and unequivocally, Hosana is not pregnant, no. Is this cat pregnant? It's Mulwati. And is it possible that she's pregnant? Yes, but it's definitely not possible that we would see that just yet. So I think that fattish belly is a result of food. Over to Lauren, who's got some playful cubs.
I don't quite know what to say, but I really hope Hosana is not pregnant. That would be, well, nothing short of a miracle. We're back. We took a short bumble. Tandy and Cub were seen this morning down south. So we took a short bumble just in case we got lucky. No? And we're back at the den. It's still the same. It's just Rib Robs and Rib and Rob and Bo and Ty, who will get names soon, I can assure you. But no sign of other little cubby or any other adults. I just wonder if Corky's nocturnally suckling. I only saw Corky once at the den, and it was very, very early in the morning. Let's just look at Ribbon's face, BK, and how peaceful she looks. Sorry, animals make me laugh. But yes, I've also been asked many times by people if Shadulu is pregnant, and we have no way of knowing that. It would be lovely to know that, but there's absolutely no way, and especially your big cats, they hide it. They hide it well. They don't want to advertise the fact that they may be with a child. Now, I was talking earlier about the stomach, and I do... Okay, I will finish it soon. I think I've tried 3 times, but I promise I will get the hyena stomach information out. And as I sit and watch the Double Trouble, we're going to send you across to a nightjar.
Welcome back, everybody. We are... Oh, wait. A nightjar has just landed in the road. How cool is that? So let's use our binoculars or the zoom of the camera to have a closer look. Look at those beautiful patterns on the shoulders of the wing. And then it's difficult to see now because we're in black and white. Obviously the camera in infrared, and then I've got a red light filter on my spotlight, so it's difficult to see color. But there is a bit of a rufusy, reddish, fiery color to the back of the neck, and that helps us to identify this as a fiery necked nightjar. Now with nightjars it's going to be quite tough because there's quite a few that look quite similar. So unequivocally, if it were to call, we'd be able to tell for sure that it was a fiery necked nightjar. They got that very distinctive call. And see how it keeps flying back to the exact same spot, everybody. Back onto that road. And if we look at the bush around it, look at how it's pretty dense. And this little patch here on the road, nice and open, with a clear view of the sky. And what this nightjar is doing, see how it keeps flitting off of the ground? Sometimes just a few feet off the ground, sometimes shooting up into the air, looping around and coming back down. It's looking for little insects like moths flying overhead. And on pitch dark nights, it will be able to use its, well, obviously its eyes, to spot the silhouettes of insects flying over its head, like little moths flying above its head. And it will then be able to shoot up into the air, use its big wide mouth. There it goes. Oh, it's hovering. And back down. So we don't want to shine the light on it too much when it flies, even though we've got the infrared on and the red light filter. of course, that bright light could still kind of hamper its ability to fly, so we're not going to shine on it if it does fly off the ground. There it goes up, get ready for it to come back down, into the exact same spot. How amazing is that? Okay, we're going to leave this nightjar, and we'll send you across to Ngala, where Barney's got some lions marching towards him.
So the Pride has checked few open areas. So far they haven't had any luck. Like you can see, the color has changed, so we've gone to infrared. The area they're walking through, the grass is starting to get slightly long, and there's quite few rocks. I think we're gonna wait for the rest of them that are coming towards us to walk past. And they're heading more south of the property. There are a few other open areas that they're gonna get. When they keep going like that, maybe they'll be lucky to find wildebeest or zebra there. But because of the rocks that there is in this area, it looks like we're gonna need to say goodbye to them for tonight and wish them some luck. Hopefully tomorrow when we're up and about again, we'll come check this area. Maybe they'll be successful overnight. It will be nice if we can catch up with them feeding on something. But looks like they still got a distance to cover, because we're not hearing any herbivores or anything like that at the moment. Looks like things might have moved into thick, dense vegetation where they can be able to hear without strong wind blowing over. And the last white female cub is the one that's coming into the picture last. She's walking right at the rear of everybody else. Look at how that white sticks out as she walks through this infrared there. The rest of them you can see, but not as great as you can see her right now. So as she'll walk and look at us and carry on going like that, the rest of them are slowly but surely disappearing. She's being a little bit inquisitive here. So yeah, we are gonna let them be. We're losing their view and it's getting slightly thick where they're heading. So we'll wish them luck and we'll try and catch up again with them tomorrow morning.
We are just trying to follow Shidulu now through this block. She's got up and started to move back in the direction that she was originally going. You may just be able to see her on the edge of the picture there. I'll try and get into a position where we can get a decent view of her. And the territorial patrol that she was engaged in seems to be continuing. She's just straight ahead of us there, behind the tree. Fortunately, the infrared light will basically shine off whatever you shine it on, so if there's something closer to us than her, that's what's going to light up and what the camera will expose for. But now she's perfectly in. Well, she was. Alrighty, let us continue. Put your head here. I must say, this cat is a lot easier to follow than Tlalamba, who tends to zip around and up and down and run and jog. Shidulu, although busy, walks in a straight line, and I don't know, I just find it much easier to follow. Tlalamba's a bit of a nightmare. You just try and get a little bit to the side of her. Now she's not hunting, so I'm not particularly concerned about making a noise here. I don't think we're going to make life too difficult for her. We've got her moving nicely. Just about to go behind the tree and behind a tree. Okay. Alright, she's just behind that tree. While we try and get into a position where we can look at her, let's go back to the hyenas.
I agree with you, James. Tlalamba's a zigzagger model. Shidulu's a straight line model. And Tandy, well, she breaks cars. So, I shall finally tell you my stomach story. I don't know why I'm so intent on telling this, but it's just utterly fascinating. So, because hyenas are known as bone crunchers, they do crunch through bones. But in order to swallow it, it's going to end up in the stomach. The stomach has to be able to deal with that. So the stomach hydrochloric acid is so low, it's so acidic that basically it almost melts the bones down. So immediately it destroys any sort of potential pathogenic bacteria that's been ingested with the prey. Hyenas do eat lots of nasty, putrid carrion. So immediately, as soon as it enters the stomach, not only does it dissolve the bones, it blasts away any bacteria or pathogens. That means that the pathogens are not able to reach the intestines. Because if it was to reach the intestines, it would cause a massive imbalance in the gut flora or the gut microbiome. And of course, it would affect the animal. But with hyenas, it doesn't get that far. I love the word blasted. I don't think it's very scientific, but any sort of disease gets blasted in the stomach immediately before it goes into the intestines, and it passes through the body and enters into the bloodstream. And that's why, one, hyenas are so strong, resilient, and they live a long life, up to about 20 years in the wild. It's also another reason that the hyena immune systems, especially spotted hyenas I'm referring to, have become such a topic of mass interest in science, because hyenas seem to, well, they haven't been wiped out by rabies, anthrax, canine distemper, like other predators have. Other predators, especially the likes of wild dogs, have been hit really, really badly by these diseases, if not wiped out. But hyenas don't even seem to get affected, but they're exposed to it. They're definitely exposed to it. And science believes that it's all down to their extremely strong stomach acid. Can you believe that? I find that really fascinating. Robin, great question. So, hyenas don't allosuckle like lionesses do. And therefore, that's why this little cubby that is in this den, we now have proof, I wasn't going crazy, is not coming out. It's not coming out because mom is not there and Ribbon will not suckle it. Now, there's definitely been records of really low-ranking hyenas, like Ribbon used to be, allowing higher-ranking hyenas, like Corky used to be, their young suckle from them. But that's more a sort of Boolean pressure tactic, because they are lactating if they have cubs, and they will allow those high-ranking cubs to suckle just because they have to. It's submissive behavior, and it keeps the higher-ranking hyena, i.e. the matriarch, happy. But they don't actually allosuckle. I hope that makes sense. It's not common practice, and there's no way that Rib Robs here would allow this cub inside the den to suckle from her. That would not happen. I came back to the den hoping to see signs of Corky, and she's just not here. But I don't want to get too concerned. There's a whole window of the day that we're not here, and the night. Victoria, you're asking, is Corky avoiding the den? I would doubt it. I saw briefly Corky the other night when Ribbon was here, and as long as Corky acts submissive to Ribbon and sort of shows that she respects her as matriarch, there shouldn't be problems between the two, as long as each hyena acts their rank level. As long as Corky doesn't get too boisterous, Ribbon will not tell her to go away. They need each other after all. There's only 5 females. So I don't think Corky's avoiding the den. She shouldn't be. But I just don't know where she is. She could have possibly found a delicious impala somewhere. But I am really hoping to see her in the next few days and spend a little bit more time with her cub. We got to see her head today, but it'd be really nice to see the rest of the cub. And we got a brief size comparison when the cub first popped his head out between Ribbon's boys and this little one. And it's, brings back memories of when we first discovered this pair on the 27th of March. I'll never forget that day. But I really don't think Corky is avoiding the den. If she was, she wouldn't have brought her cub here. It's very much a communal den, which is sort of normal progression for hyenas. To all share a den, all congregate at one area, interact, socialize. It's the norm. And Ribbon didn't actually attack Corky. I personally believe Corky was just injured and not able to maintain her status. She was struggling. She was not being the matriarch that she should be. And Ribbon just seized the opportunity. But I really don't believe Ribbon injured Corky in that respect. I could be wrong. But that's my take on events. So I'm going to stay here and hope that something happens, but I believe Miss Chidulu is still catwalking for you all.
We've still got her here. Hopefully we'll get a bit of a view. There we are. She's been doing a territorial thing, marking. Naturally, that bush is in precisely the wrong place. There we go. She's probably going down to that marula tree to mark. There we are. I just don't want to put too much light on her. You know, I feel bad about lights on animals at night, but sometimes in order to avoid having a massive accident, you've got to turn the lights on. Yee. Like here, for example. There is a base of that marula tree there. We've been driving through a clearing for the last 10 minutes. It's been absolutely fine. Naturally, as you've come across to us. Marlo, there's no usual time of day for leopards to hunt. They'll hunt any time. I suppose they're predominantly nocturnal. That's what the textbooks will tell you, but you'll find them moving all the time. And certainly somebody who was out this morning, who was out, you know, much later, one of the landowners was out around 10 o'clock, saw two leopards, both quite close to each other, and they were both moving around and hunting middle of the day. So it really depends on the weather, depends on the cat, depends on how they're feeling, and much like their movements, which I was describing earlier, their activity periods are probably about as unpredictable. Probably mark this tree. There we are. Beautiful. I'd like to be a diker, minding my own business with that coming up behind me. All right, let's go back to Lauren, see what's happening at the den.
Ribbon has just got up and walked away, so the last 2 seconds of the cubs, everyone, and we must leave. It is time to go. Ribbon has decided she's slept enough, and she's off, just like that. Okay. Bye-bye, little ones. They're probably going to run when I turn the engine on. But that's a good thing. It's a good thing that they scuttle away into the safety of the den because Mum's not here anymore. Actually, is that Ribbon there? I don't have any lights on. Oh, Ribbon is still here. Oh, there's two. I don't know who that other hyena is just yet, but there's two. That's perfect. There's adults here. That is brilliant, which means we can keep looking at the cubs. I didn't see them because I didn't turn any lights on. I don't like to do that. Aha, hyenas are waking up. See, they're very much nocturnal. This one's going to walk right in front of the car. Or try to. Is this hyena got something around its neck, BK? Oh. Oh dear. It does. Okay. That we'll need to report that, I'm afraid, everyone. This hyena has some sort of metal around its neck. Now, we really don't intervene with animals out here, but I think it's Swazi. But when it's human-caused, then humans must fix it. It's Swazi, everyone. Okay, not a great ending, but we did get to see Corky's little cub. I will report this immediately to the Sabi Sands, but for now, we're going to send you back across to Mr. Hendry.
Don't worry, it's been reported, everybody. Somebody saw it going in towards the den. It's been reported. The Sabi Sands is on it, and they'll be out as soon as possible. And don't worry, that hyena will most likely be absolutely fine. They're unbelievably resilient. I've seen lots and lots of hyenas have snares cut off them, and they survive just fine. So although it is horrific to see, and very sad that it happens, I'm 99% sure the hyena will be fine. Did we identify which hyena it was? There's a little scrub hair or something behind her that's moved away. Alright, we're going to leave this cat. I'm not going to follow through there. Oh, she didn't like that. She looked back towards us as if to say, well, can't you follow me a bit longer because your noise is masking my noise. Anyway, we're going to carry on. We have 60 seconds of our show left. What a wonderful show it was, hey? Cheetah hunt, leopard hunt, hyena, brand new hyena cub from Corky, the deposed matriarch, now back in favour at the den, albeit not as the matriarch. Gorgeous, absolutely marvellous afternoon. I think we're very lucky. And we even had Lagunaria spherica, the great orbs of the wilderness here. It was nice to see it this time of the year. Fear not, we will be back tomorrow again at 0600 from the Kalahari, from northern Maputaland, from the Western Kruger and from Pridelands. Until then, thank you and good night.